Item C, receive report regarding traffic calming improvements at DeSoto Way and Santa Lucia Avenue intersection.
Got your intersection. No paint.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm here before you to describe the status of the traffic calming improvements at the intersection of DeSoto and Santa Lucia. In the past, the Council has considered a number of traffic calming initiatives, particularly in the DeSoto neighborhood. At that time, there were improvements approved, but the request was made for us to continue to look at the intersection of DeSoto and Santa Lucia.
I thought it was my eyes.
That was technical help.
All right. All right. And then back in May of 2008, the Council approved a scheme to install 2 new stop signs. But at the time, we had a preliminary plan for the intersection improvements. The request was for us to go back and do some additional work to refine and really to come up with something that was more similar to the intersections in the rest of the neighborhood. What's up on the screen now is an aerial photo showing the existing conditions. So the intersection is actually pretty large. It's currently controlled only with the yield on the Santa Lucia leg. So based on Council's feedback, we went back, did some additional survey work, and came up with a new design that significantly reduces the size of the intersection, installs new accessible curb ramps at all of the crosswalk locations, and new paving and sidewalk improvements to address the drainage and to try and achieve that desired result. So up on the screen is a plan that shows the final proposed improvements. So the intersection is closer to a 90-degree intersection. New stop sign is installed on Santa Lucia as on northbound DeSoto. And so, in addition, I want to recap on what we've done with the community. So at the beginning of the traffic calming initiative, there was a significant TSPC review of the proposals, and at that time we involved the neighborhood. Most recently, when we came up with this revised design, we've provided notice to the neighborhood that the Council would be considering this possible change to the design tonight. And in addition, there's 4 specific properties that are adjacent to the improvements that are going to have some impact in the front of their property. So on the screen is, actually, let me get to, oh. So anyway, on the screen is, I guess the new one didn't come. Yes, I revised the plan, but I didn't get the revised plan here to show some more detail about what improvements are going to be going on here, but I can still continue. So the 4 properties that have impact is 1460 Santa Lucia. That property is most impacted because, there's the mouse, this property right here. So currently the sidewalk is back at this location. And the proposal is to move the sidewalk out to this location. So this area right here will become additional landscaped space at the front of this property. This particular property owner really has maintained their property. It's nicely landscaped. We've been in discussions with the owner. The owner is interested for us to continue the existing landscaping, add some new turf and some shrubbery, and is interested to continue to maintain the property once the improvements are in place. The way we would accomplish that is we would build the proposal is to build the improvements as part of the project, and then to issue an encroachment permit to this property owner to be occupying the city right-of-way space, and then also to record a copy of that encroachment permit with the county so future purchasers are aware that this is in fact city right-of-way, but there is an obligation then to maintain that property. The next most impacted property is 136 DeSoto. So they have a small portion of their front yard that will have some additional landscaping. Their driveway is going to be relocated. At 1461 Santa Lucia, really the back of the sidewalk is going to remain in its existing location. There really will be very minimal impact there other than construction. And then across the street at 121 DeSoto, the proposal, in order to accommodate the accessible curb ramp, the sidewalk will be pushed back into the front yard, a small space. Currently it's just lawn, and we can easily restore the improvements and accommodate that property owner. We've talked to all of these property owners. They're aware of the proposal and are supportive of the improvements that would move forward here. Regarding the budget, so this is a much more ambitious project with a cost estimate of about $143,000. The main components of that are the concrete curb ramps. Those are actually a more expensive construction. We are doing a fair amount of concrete sidewalk, curb and gutter work, and a new valley gutter and paving to address the drainage. Because of the adjustment of the orientation of the improvements, there are drainage that had to be addressed with that. As far as the source of funding, the recently adopted 910 capital improvement budget included sufficient funds for this project as part of the neighborhood traffic calming project, and the source of funding is gas tax and Measure A, which are transportation restricted funds. There are no general funds proposed for this project, but transportation specific funding. And that concludes my presentation, but I'm open for any questions or comments from the council.
Questions from council?
Yes.
Councilman Ibarra?
Steve, you say that we have adequate funding budgeted for this specific project.
Yes.
The project that was proposed to us back in May was a configuration of, I believe, street markings, and was
correct. It was there was some
it was very minimal work.
Minimal construction, mostly markings and new signs.
So what I'm trying to get at is how did we get to something of that nature to a $140,000 project? I mean, I'm not saying I'm not criticizing the solution, but I'm just saying as far as the funding, are we taking away from another traffic calming project, or is it definitely we did foresee an increase in the cost of this project?
So we actually we knew what the proposed financial need was for this project when we put that budget together, and in the traffic calming CIP, we've addressed those known issues. We have Fleetwood traffic calming. We have about 4 initiatives that are moving forward. We funded all of those in the current CIP. So everything that we know, and there's a small amount available for something new that may come up. So what we've done is we've funded the known universe out there in the traffic calming world.
I would add also that in order for us to do that was further drawdown of the available fund balance for transportation purposes. Wasn't any fund taken away from already assigned projects, but certainly increasing the cost for those projects that had a impact on the available fund balance for the city.
Through the chair.
Councilman O'Connell?
Thank you. With the drainage, that's a sloped area, I believe. Is there any possibility or any reason to do something similar to what was done down in the Bel Air area? Or you're smiling like you knew I was going to ask that question. Is that something feasible, something good to do?
Certainly it's feasible because we have surface drainage. We haven't incorporated that into the design. That's certainly a possible alternative. I'm not exactly sure how it would be. I mean, we haven't done the planning for that.
Would that delay, if we did look into that, would that delay it like a year again, or should we just?
I really think if we took a step back to do that design work, we wouldn't make this construction season.
Okay.
Water coming down. Water's coming down.
Also, I would like to add that removing a very important portion of the pavement at this intersection, in essence, you are achieving the same kind of goal with this project, increasing in very high degree the pervious surface at that intersection. Actually, is a major positive impact for natural drainage.
Good point.
For
Okay,
that
thank you.
area.
Through the chair. And the additional cost also, as you stated, is to cut the curbs so that it is more accessible. That was
Correct.
not planned in the original. And after being at the farmer's market and speaking to a few folks who are now utilizing those type of a wheelchair or something else that have spoken to me and find it very challenging in certain areas because obviously not everything has been built since ADA has been passed. That's probably something that is needed and overdue there, and I know that increased the cost to the price tag because certainly that shocked myself as well. But obviously, because of the work of that, a chunk of that is attributed to that, which also will help anybody in the community. Okay.
One last question.
Sure.
Will there be, we'll be taking care of the funding for the landscaping, the additional landscaping in that area?
So yes, there's a small allowance that is included in the estimate to cover that cost.
Okay.
I would just like to comment. I mean, you know, we're adding the handicap ramps or the accessible ramps, and that's something the city certainly has to do. We wouldn't replace sidewalk and not improve them as we'd require any owner to do if they were doing it. But what we have before us tonight is a permanent fix and a resolution to the problem. It's a lot more money than painting, but the problem's fixed, and it's going to aesthetically look good, and it's going to work, and I thank staff for doing it. The one thing I would ask staff to do, just for those people listening, because I've received calls on other traffic calming problems wondering what's happening. I heard you tell them to get that done in December, and it's not done. I said, well, they probably didn't hear me. But honestly, if you could just kind of give an update of what's happening and how we've brought in past a consulting contract and just maybe identify those projects that are coming forward, I'd appreciate it.
Now, the consultant is on board, and our next project, which will be basically presented for your consideration, is on Donner and Crystal Spring, and is our assumption at this time that in the second part of next month will be a scheduled subcommittee meeting, and will be presented to the subcommittee the design for that intersection. And also the residents will be invited and engaged in the process.
Through the chair, just
Councilmember Medina?
to touch on that, I at the last meeting also, I don't speak as loud as the mayor, but sometimes I'm heard, is that we were going to go out and update the residents of where the project stood so that they understood. Has that been done? Have they been alerted to where we're at in all of this, those projects that are pending?
No, I don't think so. It will be done in the next few days.
I'll learn to speak louder. And then what is the timeline that we would, if it's passed tonight for the DeSoto project, what is the timeline that we see it completed?
It is, if now we'll go out for bid, it's our intent to finish the project no later than December of this year.
And I appreciate you emphasizing that. Now you're going to be held to it, of course.
Okay, is any other discussion, or is there a motion to approve the report?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.